Howdy and happy Saturday morning, poopshoot.com. Um, like I said, Christmas was crazy and I didn't post any videos really other than a trailer my son made for our next season of mini stick hockey. But the Leafs were finally back in action last night after the break, and it was they've talked a lot about how the first game back after the Christmas break can be a sloppy one because guys, they've gone home and flown home or whatever, or gone on vacation. They've eaten a lot of shit. And the first game back's usually a disjointed, kind of sloppy affair. So last night they were in New Jersey for their first game back. They started Hutchison because they played tonight again against the Rangers. So they gave him the easier game because New Jersey, for some reason, after all the moves they made and the young talent they've accumulated, they're terrible this year after being not bad the last couple of years. And Taylor Hall winning the Hart Trophy a couple of years ago, and they just traded him to Arizona not that long ago. So it's kind of been a nightmare in New Jersey. So they gave Hutch the easier game. They're putting him more in a position to succeed, where Babcock was just giving him the second game in back-to-backs, and that explains the record and the fact that the team didn't help him out. So now they're giving him more of a chance to succeed, and he was good in this game. He was solid. It didn't start off well. A breakdown in defensive coverage left Nico Hischier alone just like 4.5 minutes into the first period, and Jersey went up 1-0. But the Leafs came storming back. They were by far the better team in the first period. Like, that was the one gaffe they made all period almost, and it was in the back of the net. It's one of those things. So New Jersey took a double minor penalty when somebody high-sticked, I can't remember who took it, but somebody got high-sticked, or cross-checked right in the face, and there was blood. So the Leafs got a 4-minute power play. Their power play attempt at the start was very, very disjointed and sloppy. They didn't generate any shots, I think, at all on the first 2 minutes. But on the second 2 minutes, they finally got things going a bit, and it didn't take them long before they were able to put it in. It was a Riley point shot that Blackwood stopped, but the rebound dropped right in front of him, and Hyman was Johnny on the spot, whacked it through the legs, 1-1 game. Not long after that, the Leafs were again possessing the puck in the offensive zone, and Tavares was back at the point, took a slapper, hit Mikheyev's stick, redirected it in past Blackwood, and it was a 2-1 Leaf lead going into the break. In the second period, things got a little more tilted toward Jersey's end. The Leafs kind of stopped playing a bit in the second, I felt. They weren't nearly as sharp as they were in the first period, minus the weird power play troubles they had. And New Jersey tied it up early on. But not long after that, though, Kapanen got the Leafs back on board. A nice little bank pass from Kerfoot off the boards sprung him on a kind of partial breakaway, and he was pretty bad angle on the right side, but he roofed a really good shot in the far corner, which put the Leafs up 3-2. And that all this scoring happened in the second period before the halfway point, and in the few minutes that happened after Kapanen's goal, New Jersey struck twice more to go up 4-3. So it was kind of like back and forth, and it was kind of like the Carolina game, but not quite as pronounced in terms of goal scoring, but back and forth, and periods of great skill followed by periods of blah, Third period, Leafs were pressing, and finally, I don't remember, I think it was just past the halfway point, Nylander fed on the power play, I believe it was, fed a nice cross crease pass from the left corner to Tavares, who was just parked at the top of the crease, and he just got his stick on it, redirected it in, and that was the 4-4 tie. So that's the way it would end, and they would go to overtime, and the Leafs took a power play into the overtime period, so it was 4-on-3. They got some chances, but it didn't really amount to much. And then once the power play expired, the Leafs were playing that possession game again, and they had the puck most of the overtime period, and it looked like the Leafs were headed back to their own end when Nylander looked like he turned over the puck, but he hunted it down, stole it back from the guy, and then took it towards the front of the net. Tried a little deaky dangle, and it just rolled off his stick and kind of was rolling past the crease when the New Jersey defenseman, it came to him, and he just kind of, I think just, this, you see this a lot when the puck comes loose near the crease and the defenseman just kind of whacks it because there's opposition around and they just want to clear it, right? And he cleared it right into his own net. So it was kind of like the Leafs were the better team overall, and I felt like they deserved the win, but it was just one of those games where you just didn't know how it was going to go. And that's the type of goal that decided this game, right? Which was kind of fitting for the whole thing. It was just, whoa. It was just ugly. So the Leafs, I felt, again, they played a really good possession game, which is their new thing. I felt their defensive coverage, for the most part, was pretty good. But the 4 goals New Jersey got were basically all breakdowns in coverage that left a guy wide open in the slot to be fed, and just was able to have a rip from 7 feet out. And then another one was a turnover at New Jersey's blue line, which then sprung them for a 2-on-1. So all the goals that were scored on Hutch were like good goals. It's like, what do you do when you have an NHL shooter, and New Jersey's best shooters, I think, mostly scored all the goals, wide open 10 feet in front of you? There's not too many goalies that are going to stop that many chances in a game from those types of positions, from those types of players. So Hutch, I thought, had a really good game. The big boys for Toronto were looking good, and also the lesser lights. Engvall just keeps looking better. Justin Hall, his transformation on defense has been remarkable. Now he's starting to jump into the rush and generate chances as well. So I think this whole approach Keefe has is going to make this team the best team they can be. Again, whether it's a Stanley Cup winning team, I have my doubts, and we'll have to see. But he's taking what he's got and making and fitting a style to that team and making them the best they can be. Still a lot of transformation to go, but you can see just kind of what this team's capable at this point with the win streak they've put together. And and the only other thing that was kind of note was halfway through the third period, Mikheyev was back checking in front of his own net. A New Jersey player took a shot and kind of fell over, and his skate came up in the air, and it hit Mikheyev kind of, I don't know if it was on the top of his wrist, but above the glove. And I noticed it when it happened. He immediately threw off his glove, and there was just like blood spurting all over the ice, and there's a big trail of it across from the far corner to their bench. When he just, as soon as it happened, he whipped off his glove and he skated and dropped his stick and went right to the bench and just kept running right down to the room. So it sounds like he's got a pretty good cut on his wrist. They haven't really said if it like hit ligaments or tendons or anything like that, so they just said it's a pretty good laceration. So hopefully it's just more of a superficial thing that's just going to need a bit of time to heal, and there was no structural damage to, like I said, ligaments or tendons or anything that powers the hands and wrists or holds it all together. So I'm sure we'll find out more soon enough, but that's too bad, because he's been a dynamite rookie for them. And they have had their share of injuries this year, so maybe this is one of those years where just these things are going to happen, because the last few years they haven't had many at all. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll see. Well, I'm sure we'll know more tonight when the game's on. They'll probably have a report on that, and if he is out, which I imagine he's not going to be back in the lineup. If it is superficial, I doubt he's going to be in the lineup tonight, but we'll just see. Who Keefe decides to put in the lineup instead. If Patan will come in, or who didn't play last night. Spezza played last night, so Patan didn't. So we'll see how they shuffle the lineup and see how they respond to that. Sometimes it's not bad to have some fresh legs in the lineup on a back-to-back, give them a bit more energy or whatever. So, but either way, that's how the game went last night. The Leafs have won 6 in a row now, and that was the first time in 9 games when the Leafs got scored against for the first goal rather than scoring the first goal to open a game. So it had to happen at some point. You can't score first every game, but that's, again, a trend that I really like, them coming out, attacking, getting the first goal, playing with a lead rather than playing from behind. So it's just night and day, the team under Babs and now under Keefe, that this team looks like. So great win, and we'll see you, if not tomorrow morning, sometime sooner perhaps.